Good afternoon, everybody. We'll start with public forum, and there's just a couple of reminders. First, a reminder to all present that mobile phones must be switched off before the meeting, and that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed. A further reminder that we are very strict on time here, so you have 5 minutes to speak. At 4 minutes, you'll hear a bell, and at 5 minutes, you'll hear a finishing bell. If you could please wrap up in that 4 to 5 minute mark, that'd be great. I'll remind everyone to stay on topic of the item on agenda, please, and remind the speakers that they can't ask any questions of the councillors. However, councillors may ask you guys a question, and you can choose whether you would like to answer or not. And with that, our first speaker is Barry Anstey, speaking against the recommendation item 8.16. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, General Manager, councillors and staff. Barry Anstey is my name. I live in Woodlands. Item 8.1 relates to development assessment. We've got a great concern about it. Our family office runs within the Highlands. We've currently got 2 applications before council, and they're taking quite a considerable time. It took them 3 months to accept them off the panel and then we're currently at 60 days. But the problem is we've got 165 DAs to lodge. If I lodge them, your numbers will go out the door and you'll have the planning administrator. I'm trying to work with Mr McCabe as to how we can sort things out, but Mr McCabe's department needs incredible help. He needs more financial assistance, in my opinion, and he probably needs assistance from the panel. Now, the panel has said that Mr May's resolution's not within their remit. I don't believe that's so when you look at clause of the EP&A Act 2.19, the functions, they're supposed to respond to that clause says that it's in the Act, so it's not for a direction, and it says a planning panel constituted by the council has the following functions, and 1C is to advise council on any planning matters or development matters that is to be determined by council and referred to the panel by council. Now, Mr May in his resolution of the 7th, resolution 3 of 10.21 of the 7th of August, suggested that there, or required and made a resolution that there be a list provided to the panel. Now, the panel's chosen to say it's not within their remit. My submission is that that's incorrect, that the panel has an obligation to pursue the performance of the Act, and the Act requires that they advise council in relation to matters that are determined to. Now, the situation is that the resolution that Mr May put in was a result of his administrator's minute of the 17th of August, and he turned around and said that he wanted a monthly report to the local planning panel, and this was part of the performance agreement of the General Manager. Now, that being so, and if you listen to the live stream of the 17th of August, he said that there'd been advice from the planning panel, but I realised that was probably not the planning panel today, and there was advice from legal advice, he said, and he discussed it with the General Manager. None of that's in the report we see today, and I accept that Mr McCabe didn't come in until after that period of time. My submission is that you can't rescind the agreement. You'll be in conflict of your performance order. If you read your performance order as to what you're allowed to do, I think you'll find if you rescind it, you're in breach of that performance order from the Minister. I've referred to the Minister of Planning, and I haven't got a response yet, but I've asked him to give clarification. I seek clarification from the Minister that the resolution said there is a legitimate method for council to achieve a statement of expectations on the 1st of July. I haven't had a response to that. I've given that earlier in the week to Mr McCabe, so he was aware of what I was trying to suggest. I think you can't rescind it, but I do think that Mr McCabe needs some assistance. And at the moment, I'm trying not to lodge DAs that will put you in breach of the order. We don't want a planning administrator because all he does is become the councillor. It's what the panel does. I mean,
Barry, I'll
panels...
just ask you to stay on topic of the item agenda, please.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So the panel can provide assistance, but more importantly, Mr McCabe's department needs assistance so that we can achieve what we need to achieve.
Thank you. Do the councillors have any questions? Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Mr Anstey. Could you please restate the clause in the EP and A Act that you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm happy to give you a copy. It's 2.19, functions of local planning panels. It says a local planning panel constituted by a council has the following functions, and item 1C is to advise council on any other planning or development matter that is to be determined by the council and is referred to the panel by the council. And that's exactly what Mr May's done. He's referred a certain list to the panel, and they're supposed to comment, advise him back on it. Now, that's not happening, and that needs to happen. And that will assist Mr McCabe.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councillor Moylan, I missed you there.
Thank you, Mr Anstey, for your due diligence in this matter. It's a very serious issue for our Shire, and I appreciate the time and effort you've gone into to research this. Can I ask just simply, and you've already answered it in your talk then, but what is your primary objective of this analysis? What is it you want?
We run a business that, in property development, that operates on consents. At the moment, the time in which one can get consent is indeterminate. Therefore, the financial structure in the business become extreme, right? So I don't think Minister Scully's put out a statement of expectations. And we're currently, although the figures improved as of yesterday, they've improved for Wingecarry Council, but we sit at the bottom of the state. Now, if we sit at the bottom of the state, we stand the point of getting a planning administrator. If I lodge the 165 applications and the numbers come back, you'll definitely get a planning administrator. I don't want a planning administrator. I want you to get your performance up, and I don't believe that Mr McCabe can get his performance up.
Sorry, Barry, I'll just cut you off there. I believe if you look month on month, we're actually improving by about 48%. So we're currently outputting more than we're taking in. And we made a commitment to reach the state average in the first year from our first minute, and we have confidence that we'll do that. Yeah. I think you're getting off topic to the item, so yeah, thank you for that. Thanks, Barry. Next up, we have Dawn of Southern Villages Group, and she's seeking for the recommendation in item 8.9.
Mr Mayor, General Manager and Council, thank you for this opportunity. My name's Dawn Jonas and I'm from Ringwood Road, Exeter, and I'm the convener of the Southern Villages Group. And for those who don't know, that's would represent the village associations of Bundanoon, Canyon Lee, Exeter, Penrose and Wingelow. And Penrose, Wingelow and Canyon Lee are located in designated bushfire-prone areas, so this is particularly relevant to them. So I'm speaking in support of item 8.9, re the removal of the requirement of a development application for certain events on bushfire-prone land. This goes back a long way, and just a little bit of history, but in 2017, these villages were informed by council that if they wished to hold any events on the ovals or parks adjacent to their halls, they'd need to complete and pay for a full development application to be lodged with council 3 months before each planned event. And one village, for its carols in the park, was quoted a fee of $900 for doing so. I mean, clearly these small village associations simply couldn't afford the considerable time and money to undertake that process. So sadly, outdoor activities were curtailed. This was a great shame, but for these more remote Wingecarribee villages, where local community events are particularly important. During 2017 to 29, the Southern Villages Group wrote on behalf of the villages to council and local members, the Honourables Prue Goward and then Wendy Tuckerman, who took up the issue with the New South Wales Minister for Planning and the Minister for Emergency Services. And we were informed then that to remove that onerous requirement of a DA would require the amendment to the LEP, which would require support from the RFS, and that council would negotiate with the RFS. Since then, there have been 5 years of advocacy by individual villages, including Penrose, who's represented here today, and protracted negotiations for council. But the group is now delighted and relieved that Susan Stannard's report, with support from the RFS, recommends an amendment of the WLEP in 2010 to remove that requirement for a development application for certain events on bushfire-prone land. The villages acknowledged that other risk assessment procedures are still necessary to ensure the safety of participants, but the ones that are being suggested are far less onerous and costly. The Southern Villages Group would like to thank Council, the Strategic Outcomes team, and particularly Susan Stannard for the work that she's done for pursuing this issue over so many years, and we fully support that proposal in item 8.9.
Thank you. Do the councillors have any questions? Thank you very much. That concludes the public forum. We will return at 3:30 for the meeting. Thank you, guys.